In the sun-kissed cradle of the Nile's eternal valley, a people rose from the ashes of empire's grip. The 20th century dawned on an Egypt straining under British control, but the seeds of change were already sown in the fertile soil of discontent. In 1952, the old order was shattered. The Free Officers' Revolution, led by figures like Gamal Abdel Nasser and Mohammed Naguib, overthrew King Farouk, ending a monarchy seen as corrupt and complicit with foreign domination. This wasn't just a political coup, it was the culmination of decades of struggle, of hearts heavy with the sorrow of living under foreign boots. The chants for freedom that echoed through the squares were victories snatched from the jaws of despair, each one a tribute to the martyrs who had fallen in places like Port Said and Ismailia. The following year, in 1953, Nasser declared Egypt a republic, severing the final ties to the old regime and charting a bold new course. But what aching desperation whispered through the barracks to ignite the storm of freedom? The answer lies in the years leading up to the revolution. World War II had exposed the weakness of the British Empire and the vulnerability of the Egyptian monarchy. The humiliation of the 1942 Abdeen Palace incident, where the British ambassador forced King Farouk to appoint a pro-British government, fueled the fire of nationalism within the military. Young officers, bound by blood and a shared sense of duty, met in secret, their conversations illuminated by the flickering lamps of Cairo's cafes. They saw a nation divided, with a vast gulf between the wealthy elite and the impoverished masses. They saw a king detached from his people's suffering and a political system riddled with corruption. This wasn't just about expelling the British, it was about reclaiming Egypt for Egyptians, restoring national dignity, and forging a new society. The revolution's most audacious move came in 1956. In a speech that electrified the Arab world, Nasser announced the nationalization of the Suez Canal. For nearly a century, this vital waterway, a symbol of global trade built on Egyptian land, had been controlled by foreign powers, primarily Britain and France. Taking it back was a defiant declaration of sovereignty. It was a direct challenge to the old colonial order, asserting that Egypt's resources belonged to the Egyptian people. This act of defiance triggered the Suez Crisis, a war where Britain, France, and Israel invaded Egypt. Though militarily difficult, the crisis ended in a stunning political victory for Nasser. International pressure, particularly from the United States and the Soviet Union, forced the invaders to withdraw. Egypt retained control of the canal, and Nasser emerged as a hero, not just in Egypt but across the Arab world and the developing nations. This victory solidified Egypt's new identity. It was no longer a pawn in imperial games but a major player on the world stage, a leading nation in Africa and the Middle East. Under Nasser, Egypt became the heart of pan-Arab nationalism, a movement that sought to unify Arab states and resist foreign influence. He championed a policy of non-alignment during the Cold War, refusing to side with either the Western or Eastern blocs and instead co-founding the non-aligned movement. This era saw sweeping domestic reforms. The Aswan High Dam, a monumental engineering project, was initiated to control the Nile's floods, generate electricity, and expand agricultural land. Land reforms aimed to break up large feudal estates and redistribute land to poor farmers. The government invested heavily in industrialization and education, seeking to build a modern, self-sufficient economy. Cairo became a cultural and political capital for the entire region, a beacon of resurgence and a symbol of post-colonial pride. However, the path of independence was fraught with new struggles. By mid-century, the initial unity of the revolution began to show cracks. The concentration of power in Nasser's hands led to an authoritarian state. Political opposition was suppressed, and a powerful security apparatus emerged. The dream of Arab unity proved elusive, marked by political rivalries and failed unions, like the short-lived United Arab Republic with Syria. The cost of leadership and regional conflicts, particularly the devastating defeat in the 1967 Six-Day War against Israel, took a heavy toll on the nation's morale and economy. The grand vision of a unified, prosperous Arab world began to fracture, and the weight of these shattered hopes was felt in every home. Families were divided by politics, and many were displaced by war, their dreams turning into laments for a peace that remained just out of reach. When Nasser died in 1970, millions mourned the man who had given them their dignity back. His successor, Anwar Sadat, dramatically shifted Egypt's course. He moved away from the Soviet Union and aligned with the United States. He initiated the Infida, or open-door economic policy, moving away from Nasser's socialism toward a market-based economy. His most historic and controversial act was the 1978 Camp David Accords, a peace treaty with Israel. While it won him a Nobel Peace Prize and regained the Sinai Peninsula for Egypt, it also led to Egypt's isolation from the Arab world for years. Sadat's journey, which began with the 1973 October War, a conflict that restored Egyptian pride, ended with his assassination in 1981, a stark reminder of the deep divisions his policies had created. The era of fragile freedom had turned interconnected dreams into deep, painful rifts. From the British dawn to the Republican peak, Egypt's 20th century story is one of profound transformation. The nation threw off the yoke of colonialism, asserted its sovereignty, and inspired millions across the globe. But did the visions of pan-Arab unity simply summon their own demise? Or do buried cables and forgotten pacts hide the influence of external forces that worked to shatter its weary hold? The revolutionary banners of the 1950s now feel like relics of a different age, their bold promises tempered by the complex realities of governance, war, and geopolitics. Egypt's modern soul endures, a testament to the resilience of its people, yet the full story of its independence, with all its triumphs and sorrows, remains a silent cry of lost kings and fallen dreams. In Egypt's awakened streets today, what untold heartaches and unanswered questions still guard the Republic? The journey is far from over, and the echoes of the 20th century continue to shape Egypt's present and future. What are your thoughts on this pivotal era? Share your reflections in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into history.